are ready to get back to the agenda. So we are going to the old 9, which is the new 12, for superintendent's discussion and information items.
I was asked to bring items A and B to tonight's discussion. And I guess just to kind of start it off, I believe it was the April 17th, I gave you a review of the pay to participate. And then I don't know if you've seen the update from what appears Cloverleaf has passed in the paper last week. And so it's a little bit different, although I didn't have Cloverleaf on that list, if you remember. So kind of a, I guess from the standpoint that I would like us to go in, if we are considering the change for pay to participate fees, I would want us to be very comfortable with a dollar amount that we can be working with in regards to reducing the fee, and we would then be able to determine based on our previous years of student involvement what that cost would be to us from the general fund, because that's basically the difference that we would be reducing our fees. That money would have to come up from the general fund to match that. So I can't give you, we won't be able to give you exact, because we don't know how many kids are going to be participating, but obviously that would at least give us a ballpark area based on the last 3 or 4 years what the dollar amount might look like to the general fund. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Would you like me to review what everybody else, or do you guys have that information in your memory? I probably could have made a copy of this.
I mean, I have it.
Okay.
I mean, I really sincerely would like to be able to look at a way to reduce it. But, it has to be what the impact's going to be to the general fund. But I really think we should look and see if there's anything at all we can do for our families.
One other thing I wanted to add there is that based on some of our previous enrollment numbers for athletics, if we were to decrease the pay to participate by $50, it would be costing the district out of the general fund about $24,000. So of course, as you move that up, you just would be adding another $24,000. So if you reduced our pay to participate by $100, we'd be looking at about $48,000 additional money coming from the general fund.
How much money comes in from big participating?
$207,245 is what was collected this year.
The way I look at it is, I think that it's time that we try and give back to the families. I think if we can give them back some money, the idea that has been discussed with the other neighboring communities is the fact that it's going to bring in more students. And I think that's what we all want, is more students to be able to participate. I know a lot of kids, at least at high school level, that they have to get jobs just to pay to play. The parents feel that that's their responsibility. So in looking at it, I think we're taking money from our kids. Also, anyone that has a child in sports knows that hopefully you go to see every single game they play. We charge $6 for every time that somebody comes in. So easily that's $12 per game, per football game, per volleyball, whatever it is. That's more money that we're taking from the families also. If they have siblings a lot of times don't have a choice. They have to come because they're too young, they can't stay home. I know families that pay $30 a time just to go to a soccer game. So I would like to, and I agree with what the gentleman said earlier, I don't want to be the lowest. There's no way that we can be the lowest, because I believe that we still have to have the families pay for some of it, but I would like to be in the middle. I think we're very close to being the highest, and I don't think that's what we want. I think we want to help our families also and encourage the kids to be able to play. The reason that it was brought up now is that we've talked about it in the past, very briefly, and this is the time that we have to act on it, because this is the time that football is gonna be starting, cross-country is gonna be starting, band's starting. So this is the time that we need to act on it and figure out what we can do.
So we're leaving this as, you might present a proposal to us about this or not? Or give us some,
I guess I would prefer that there be some indication of what the dollar amount that the board is comfortable with. And then that way I can maybe give you some options, and then, if that's something that the board feels they want to move forward to, then a resolution could be put out there and voted on.
does this list have Cloverleaf's new fee?
If you can read my writing, 250 was their old numbers, the current new numbers are 175 for high school, 85 for junior high. And that was for
Okay.
each activity.
They have a family cap?
No.
No.
And I can tell you on the family cap for us, we're 1,600. The next closest is Highland at $750. We have one family that met the $1,600 cap this previous year.
So our fee, first time fee is $395. And the closest one-time fee is $330 from Medina.
Medina also, though, has varying fees. $330 for some sports, and other sports it's $100. So it's not just one length fee, and I have no problem with one straight fee. I think that's fine. But it's $350 or $395 for every sport. It's not just your first sport. It goes on. It doesn't lower.
Goes
Oh, ours-
$3.90.
ours
Yes, it
ours
does.
does.
Oh, does it?
$395 for the first sport, $295 for the second sport, $195 for the third sport.
At the high
This is
school.
$1,600, and then at the or the junior high, it's $295, $195.
Okay. I see. Okay.
And if, I know that the board will be approving fees in June, so if it's the pay to participate fee, then it would just be part of the fee package. That will be presented in June.
How many, do we have a lot of kids who do 3 sports?
I don't think I have that in front of me.
Because that's close to $900 if you do.
I believe we did not have a lot of, in my conversation with Glenn, if I remember correctly, we did not,
Almost like 11.
19 for high school and junior high, yes, I do have it. If we, just the third sport cost that the district brought in was resulting in $2,705. So we only have
That'd be very
19
nice, yeah.
students that were participating in. I want to say it was like 11 and 8 or 10 and 11. It was 10 and 11. I think 11 at the high school and 10 at the junior high were in a third sport.
Okay, so we're hearing a few people say around this table that they'd like to have it reduced.
I would like to propose that we reduce it by 100. I'd like to see it at $295, and I think the rest of it we could keep $295 and $195. The idea being not that we want to take more money out of general fund. We want kids to participate. That will increase the total. And also, I think we're making some necessary cost adjustments as far as going out for bidding on uniforms and stuff like that, and I see a little bit of cost savings there.
That doesn't come out of athletic
that's
fund.
fine.
Sorry.
Good
I'm sorry.
try, good try.
I like it.
That's, and, you know,
It's the overall.
going by your numbers, what is
Sports.
that? It's around $100,000.
If we just, I just want to make sure I was understanding, you said drop 295 for the first sport, and then 195 for the second, and 195 for the third?
I have no problem, if we only have 19 kids that are doing 3 sports, I think 295 is more than fine. I would say drop the 395 for the total athletes, for every athlete that we have for their first sport.
At the high school,
At the high school.
okay.
So anybody that plays a sport would pay $295 at the high school. And then it's up for discussion, but I have no problem with the other charges that we have.
So, again, I'm just clarifying, so the first sport would be 295 at the high school.
Mhm.
The second sport would be 295 at the high school, and then the third would be 195.
We can reduce that, but I have no problem keeping it the same. It's up to you for the rest of the board.
So just to make sure we're all speaking the same language, I believe my number was reducing $100 per each level.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought it was $50 for each level.
Well, if you-
He gave us
Yeah, you did.
Oh,
Yeah.
two
Yeah,
options.
yeah, so I just
I
think,
wanted to double, sorry.
well, I was thinking when you said 100, I was just using that, it
For
would be
all, yeah.
100. The way it was calculated at 50, and then 100 would be reducing each of those levels by 50.
I think at least if we could get the 395 to 295, at least that gives every student somewhat of an opportunity.
And then can I just go along with a friendly amendment from my negotiating team? Go to, for junior high would be 195, 195, and 95?
It's fine with me.
Is it-
You have to
Is that
ask
what
the
you're,
school.
that's what you were thinking, that you would just reduce the junior high first sport fee?
Yes.
I know that this is, that the fees are a lot. And higher than others in the county. I also know that there's a lot of athletes that will pay $600 for sport beyond high school. Some are, off-season sports, they'll pay $800 for. I'm not in favor of the lowering of the first sport. I'd be more in favor of a family cap lowering, if anything. I just know that we right now have we're spending $160,000 right now for operating expenses for athletics.
That's what we're gonna be in that's my projection. That's
Right.
just a projection. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope it's lower.
And in order to make it more advantageous for more students, so that we aren't having a second or third child in a house not joining a sport team, I'd be more interested in that end if we're gonna reduce than the first count. That's my opinion.
I don't agree with that because if we only had one family that met the $1,600
I'm saying, yeah, but
cap,
if you lower the cap, you're gonna have more people need.
I don't think it's gonna impact enough people in the community. I think if you lower that first sport fee, you might get more kids participating in at least one sport in high school. And I think, or band or whatever, I mean, kids need to be part of a team. And that's a really good experience for kids, and we want to make it affordable for them to do that. So I would propose, at a little addition to what Kim said, $295 for the first sport, $250 for the second, and $195 for the third.
I'm sorry, could you say it more?
$295, $250, and $195.
And then it'd be 195
for the third sport.
I'm saying for the junior high, we have 195 then?
Yes, 195, 150, and what was the next one, 95?
Maybe 95.
Yeah,
Well, she had said 195. She had the same cost for both
for second and
second
third.
and third. So you could say 150 at third, or you could do a reduced from there, I guess, because you reduced your high school one, right?
Yeah,
55. You want to say 100?
all right.
I shouldn't be talking, I should be taking notes. Sorry.
It's all right. Dan, do you have a lot of kids who do 3 sports?
No. And the biggest reason why is obviously in the spring, it's one sport that they could play at the junior high, and that's track.
That's only one offer.
Right.
Yeah.
But track's become huge at the junior high.
It has, absolutely. But I mean, it's the only one that's offered.
Just to give you my family's perspective on this. So if we lower the family cap to the next highest on the list, 750, we would have spent $450 less than we did the year before. If we go by Barb's proposal, I would have spent $300 less. I would have spent like $900 on that. I would have spent $750 on the other. So, I mean, that's with the multiple sports. And I still don't. If they play two things in one fall, one season,
It's one cost.
it's one cost. Okay. So
And just for reference point, could you say how many kids at what level? How many
that's only
sports?
2 kids. Next year I have 3 children.
How many sports at the high school?
There was 2 at the high school, 2 at the junior high.
So you said under
So that
Barb's was 300 savings,
yeah.
and then Ken was 450?
If you lower the family cap to the next highest on the list, which is a huge drop. We're at 1,600, the next highest is 750. That's a huge drop.
And you do not have a dollar amount, correct? Yes.
Okay. I don't want to do that now. When we passed our first 5-year levy, we promised this community we were going to pass the levy to maintain where we were at. We successfully passed the 10-year levy, a renewal of that 5-year levy because we were going to maintain. This 10-year levy is not going to last us 10 years. Right now, we're spending money we don't have. So we reduce pay to participate fee, and then we lay off teachers. Because what happens if we don't pass the next levy? We made a commitment to make this district run on this 10-year levy, and to start spending money. Well, let's make it 100, let's make it 125. It's irresponsible. We have made a commitment. Right now, we're transferring over 160,000. It's 40,000. We add 40,000 in by reduced pay to participate fees. What is the revised code as it relates to how much we can spend on athletics? Is it a certain percentage?
Yeah, 1%.
And are we close to that? So we are breaking the law by spending any more money on athletics.
I can't believe that is true, and let me say
The
why.
treasurer comes right there.
I know what you're saying.
Let me finish, okay? I let her talk. You made a commitment. I, more than anybody else, I paid participant fees for a long time. I always paid them willingly, and I had no problem with the check. When we were up to $600, our numbers did not drop by kids. Our numbers, our dollars went down, and we still had roughly the same amount of kids. The dollar, like Ken said, these families are used to paying this for these outside sports. But we made a commitment that we should stick to this commitment. If we have a way, if we want to do this, we'll levy on the ballot and have the voters say we will reduce the pay to participate fees for these families. This community has voted for a 10-year levy to fund these schools. And right now, we're spending it faster. We're not going to make 10 years. Carolyn, when will we run out of money?
And in fairness, this replacement levy, we will run out of money in about 6 years at the, now, I don't have in anything that is coming down the pipe from the state. I don't have anything in, what I presented to you 2 weeks ago was the knowledge that I had.
Correct.
Number one. Number two, the very next day, the auditor sent out a letter that we will lose $200,000 next year based on the renewal of this levy, taking it back down to the $3.2 million. We were collecting more. So again, I mean, but all of this can change again tomorrow morning.
And the governor may submit a levy, says, I'm gonna fund all schools 100%, you have to agree.
Absolutely.
Our history tells us that they don't give us more, they take away. We're now at 6 years on a 10-year levy. So now we have to go back to the voter and say, you know what, we did not fiscally watch your money, and now we have to make up 4 years of money. We're spending money that we don't have. It's irresponsible. You have, your 5-year forecast is based on what we know now, correct? We don't know what's gonna happen in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. And I know people want to reduce the state of fees. I do too. I have no problem doing it, but we need to do it on another levy cycle. We can't come out of our general fund and take away. Who's gonna go to tell, I sat here where we laid off 53, 54 teachers. Who wants to do that again to these teachers? If we can't pass a levy because we reduce our paid participant fees. It's not fair. And I don't want it to be part of, you know, these, our administrators, our teachers, we made a commitment to them. We made a commitment to our community to maintain. Kim, everything you say is absolutely right. I cannot agree with you more. I want to see it be reduced. But it needs to be done through a separate funding issue. It can't be out of our general fund. You want to do this? Put it on the ballot in November and have them vote for it. And see if the community supports this. Community supports it, great. But I'm going to tell you, the community, I got a gut feeling is it will not pass. But I'm more than happy to see it put on the ballot. But we cannot take this out of the general fund and then bring us down to 5 years. So then we got to come back on the ballot in 5 years to ask for the community to refund our school district because we didn't spend our money well. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I didn't, but I'll kick it back to you.
All right, Madam Treasurer, you said we are spending more on athletics now than is allowed by law. And how is that calculated since we don't support athletics the way other
It's by-
school districts do?
It's based on the amount of money that is transferred over. This Board of Education, prior boards of education, and it can be done differently, has said all expenditures are to come out of athletics. All of our coaches come out of athletics. All of our athletic director, our athletic secretary, every expense comes out except for uniforms and transportation to events.
So the reason you're saying this is because we are not funding it the same way other school districts are funding it.
No, I'm not saying it that way. I'm saying it because it is taken out of general fund from theirs.
Well, tell me how other school districts
They're
manage
taking,
this.
they're taking it out of general fund and they're basing that one half of 1% on what is spent under certain functions.
So we could
accounting
also do that.
But we would also be over the limit.
So
Yeah,
every
just-
school district is over the limit.
No, then, I did not say that.
Well, tell me
That's
what,
not-
because this, I worked in Medina City, so I obviously know something.
I understand that, and I'm not saying that they were spent over that. Their budget is larger than ours.
Obviously.
So a half of 1% is a lot larger for them than it is for us.
Right.
Okay, so that's why, you know, I'm
So
not saying
160,000 is more than 1%.
half of 1% of $20 million. That's our revenue, $20 million, 21 million.
21 million.
That's our total revenue for general fund and our emergency.
I
And if
still don't
we-
understand how other school districts can manage this then.
What I'm saying is they're profitable in their athletics,
And we're not profitable.
not based on our revenue, not based on our half of 1%.
Cloverleaf is a school district much the same as we are. So you tell me then how they can afford to have their parents pay $250, and they were in fiscal emergency.
Right, Ms. Copeland, they were in fiscal emergency. We stayed out of getting in trouble because we are fiscally responsible. And just because they're doing it doesn't mean it's right. Because they spend it like drunken sailors because they got some taxpayer dollars. We were fiscally responsible. We put all athletic funds in athletics, so this community clearly knew what athletics cost this district. All food service, when they did food service, so this district knew exactly what we spent on food in this district. Our salary structures here are done the way they're done, so our community knows exactly what we pay for our salaries for our staff. We cover nothing up, we hide nothing, no shell games. It's clean and it's clear. Just because they're doing it doesn't mean it's right. We've done it right.
So all these county schools are wrong?
I don't know if they're right or wrong. I don't know what their budgets are. But I'm just telling you that we're doing it the right way.
Is the time at which as I understand it, that the board, was prior to my being on this board, that decided that everything that came from athletics, all the expenses came through the athletic budget. And that was, help me out, but I believe in the time that athletics was reinstated in this district, from the time when we, as a district, did away with athletics and was totally funded by the Booster Club, or through the Booster Club, maybe not by, but through. And bringing it back under the district, which, straight up, I don't endorse the Booster Club running athletics.
They didn't run athletics. They donated the money to us for us to fund athletics.
That's what,
They didn't run it, they donated to us.
they donated it and it was run through. That time was not a good time for the district. But that's when the previous board, for those people that are sitting here, none of us were on the board at that time, made the decision that all of those funds needed to be segregated out and come through that athletic.
Correct. And that has served us well. We've known all this time exactly how much we spend on our athletic program. We can talk about this, and I will support reduction of pay to participate fees if the board chooses to put it on the ballot, but I cannot support coming out of our general fund if we don't have the money to do it.
To Ken's point, there is some students that pay $600 for special trainers, and they're planning careers in college. That's not that many in every sport, and they have to be a very good athlete for the parents to support that. Dennis, you pay for pay to play, I pay for pay to play, all of us sitting at this table pay for pay to play because we can afford it. There's kids out there that can't afford it, there's families out there that can't afford it. I take exception, and I think it's very insulting for you to insinuate some sort of, we'll lay teachers off, or something else will be happening, or we're not abiding by the law, when we spent $600,000 for a new stadium, all right, and I supported that. When we're talking about something I brought up last month about the baseball field, we started out months ago saying that the baseball field needed a new fence. We went out and when we were gonna get bids on a new fence. I was all for that because our baseball field looks horrible. Then all of a sudden, within a few weeks, we weren't gonna do that. We were going to build a whole new field, and the cost was $160,000. Within a few weeks, that cost went up to $230,000. My question and another board member's question was, why can't we look at the cost of redoing the field that we have right now? Before we redo a field, before we move a field, before anything else, we need numbers. We need everything written out. We still have a vague number that's floating in the air, and we voted to move it to the back. Whether or not that'll actually happen or not, I don't know. But I don't know how you can tell all the families in this district that we can't give you $100 for your kid to be able to participate in sports, but you're 100% for moving a baseball field in the back. Somewhere around $250,000 we're gonna end up spending that.
Sure. Just the same way, yeah, you have several issues there. first off,
It all comes out of one pot.
no, it does not. No, it does
It
not.
all comes out of the Buckeye spending pot.
That field, that football field was not paid for with general fund money, was it, Treasurer? Okay, so.
Was it paid with
what?
Buckeye money?
The total sales tax dollars,
They
which
can't
cannot
be
be
used
used,
for
cannot be used for
It can't be
salaries.
used for salaries,
Right, so
true,
it's a
but
moot point, it cannot be used for
it's not a
salaries.
moot point, it's still Buckeye money. It's still money that is being spent that could have been spent somewhere else.
It can't be used on salaries.
So,
It cannot be
okay,
used on
so
salaries.
for a baseball field, we'll just spend whatever we want because we can't spend anything else. We can't buy buses, we can't,
We bought buses out of that sales tax fund. That permanent improvement money has been spent on, legally what we're allowed to spend it on, by recommendation from the superintendent. As far as laying off teachers, I sat through that, because we were out of money. We went 18 years without passing levy in this district. We had people sitting in the gymnasium, whose lives were shattered because we could not pay them. We have a 10-year levy that will last us 6 years, and maybe less if we start spending stuff on things like this. I can't, I don't want to tell anybody in this community that they can't participate, because I want them to participate. And if you believe in this, put it on the ballot. We have to fund it. Put it on the ballot and pass a levy. If you believe in this and you believe it will pass, and put it on the ballot. I want those kids to have, I'd be happy they didn't pay anything. And I don't have to pay any more, and I'll still support it. Because I believe, I don't want these kids paying these fees, but we cannot, that's part of our job as being on this board, is to be fiscally responsible for this taxpayers' money. And these are hurtful things to spend money that we don't have. The money's gone in 6 years, and we're gonna spend it less. We have to sometimes make hard decisions, and that's one of them for me.
We do have to make our decisions, okay? And if we sat up here and put every spending decision on the ballot, a lot of them would not pass. I think we're supposed to do things that are best for the kids and, and helps them. If we can get more participation, and we're throwing numbers out here and we really actually don't understand it that well. I mean, I would go to a school that Laura paid to play and see what the participation percentage went up. So if we do a cut and dry, the $100, and I'm just going off your numbers, we're not exactly right, but we're talking about $100,000 here, which is going to be offset a little bit, okay, by the increased participation. So whatever that percentage is, and I'm assuming sports like track and band and football and cross country, you'll see increases in, and other sports, because we don't have that many people who won't see that much participation, but it's what's best for the kids. But if we were to go to the general public, okay, and we can argue sales tax or what, okay, we spend money, okay, and money can be spent on different things, but say we took gosh, I don't know, we just hired some new teachers and teachers that you recommended that we needed, okay, and we agreed because we thought it was best for the kids, okay. But if we went to the general public and said, hey, do we need a project lead the way teacher? Do we need to teach STEAM? What do we think the general public would say? Because a lot of those people don't have kids in school, okay? And a lot of those kids don't have kids even that they're in school that are taking those classes. So you're kind of asking them to vote over something that it doesn't help them one way or another. It helps the general overall community. It helps kids. Okay, it's important that we do Project Lead the Way. It's important that we do STEAM. We understand that. Okay, it's important that we do security. Okay, and we can argue which bucket that came out of, but we just spent a ton of money on security, and you know what? We need security, and that wasn't in our budget, but we did it because we need it, and it's the right thing to do. Okay, and to sit here when we look at every other school in the county, and to come to Buckeye, we're saying, hey. And let's not put ourselves on a pedestal here and say we're better than all these other schools, because, it's a pretty good county for education, and there's some good schools out there. But, if you want to come to Buckeye and you want to play a sport, guess what? You're going to pay twice as much as any other school district in the county, okay? And that's where there's a disconnect there, because we want kids to enjoy the full high school, the full junior high experience, and, we're talking about money here. Okay, we're talking about perhaps $100,000 a year on that plan. So I'm not saying that's the right plan, but what if we cut that in half to $50,000? Okay, if we can't help our families by spending an extra $50,000 a year, it's like, well, maybe our budget's not right in the first place, because if we can't swallow that, which is actually 1/4 of 1%, I believe, of our budget, if we do 50,000. That's what we're talking about, 1/4 of 1%, is that right?
Yeah, it's about 110,000,
So-
you're already transferring 160.
No, I'm just talking about if we change it by 50, okay? I'm not gonna get into semantics on how we measure stuff, because, you know, a lot of schools are spending it. I mean, I go to our events, I look at what we're spending on sports, and I go to, and the attendance and everything that's coming back, and I go to other schools in our conference in particular, and, you know, they don't have the attendance we have. You know, Black River doesn't have that many kids out, okay? I know what their athletic, you know, let's be honest, our primary expense is our athletic director's salary and insurance, which we include in there. So, you know, Black River has that same sunk cost if they're spending $75 on a sport, okay? I want to see participation be maximized. It is a big pill to swallow, okay? And not everyone in this community can do it. And, you know, I think they should be given the opportunity, and we need to find a way to get that opportunity. And, you know, we can say we never turn kids away, but, you know, there's a lot of people that don't want to come and ask for help, okay? And if we can lower it by spending 1/4 of 1%, I think it's a good investment. And I would be in full support of that.
To your argument, and in support of your argument, we do this, and we take the short term, yes, this makes us feel good, it makes us warm and fuzzy. And in 5 years, when we're broke, we have to go on the levy and say, we didn't make your 10-year money last, because we had the warm and fuzzy feeling back in May of 2017. Do you think the people in this community are gonna support us and support this levy? Do you think they're gonna come in, they're gonna take it the athletic levy? I don't know, say, well, we asked for 10 years, it didn't last, it only lasted 5, so we need another 10 from you. And maybe we get that to last 5. We have fiscal responsibility to this community. And I want, you said it yourself, we have to find a way to do this. Find a way to do this without taking from our general fund. I will support that 100%, but we cannot spend money we don't have to make us feel good today. It's tough, it's hard, and I'm gonna be the Debbie Downer here today, but we have a responsibility to this community first and foremost, to be fiscally responsible. And I can't argue that anymore. That's what it comes down to, is fiscal responsibility to this community. You cannot spend what we don't have. And you're asking to spend money that we don't have. Hold on. And lastly, I'm gonna add to this. This notion that because we have high pay to participate fees, we're not a great place to be. We lead districts in open enrollment. And kids come here because they want to come to Buckeye. Buckeye has so much more to offer. We have great athletics. We have, there's fees there. We have great academics. We have great administrators. They come here and bring their dollars here. They don't sit there and say, well, I'm not going to Buckeye because I got to pay $395 to play on a football team. They come to Buckeye. Our pay to participate fees that we have now does not chase those kids away. We lead our districts in open enrollment. Huge amount of dollars coming because of that. Do we think we're going to get more kids coming in here because we have lower pay to participate fees? I don't think so. But our open enrollment is already high. So to what you said, find a way, but don't take it from the general fund because we don't have the money to do it.
I just don't understand how you can say by lowering the fees, no more people will play.
No, I didn't say that.
No more people will come to, I mean, how can you make that?
People are not basing their decision on what school to go to by pay to participate fees. There's not a big access because, hey, I'm going to Black River because Black River's only whatever it is, $75. Nobody's doing that. They come to Buckeye because they want to be at Buckeye because they got great teachers there.
I would disagree with that because we have kids that, okay, and when we first raised the fees, we lost lots of kids. They went to other school districts. And that was pretty, now we don't know because we're not doing it all at once. We lost a lot of kids.
We get so easy to go backwards, John. So easy. At OHSAA, here is called the Buckeye rule, because when they cut sports here, we were gonna have exodus of kids that were leaving Buckeye to open enroll other schools. And by OHSAA rules, they were ineligible to play for 1 year and would transfer in. OHSAA created the Buckeye rule to allow those kids to play when the school eliminates the sports program. Because of us. We had kids walk, I lived here, I was here part of this. We had kids walk out of the cafeteria in high school. They walked out here, went out on the football field, and they had a big rally because they were boycotting Buckeye because we cut athletics. We made a commitment, and the board at the time came up with a plan. Athletics will be paid this way, and it's all in one fund, and they have to pay it to keep it going, and we ran it. And we saved that, like Buckeye Board of Education saved athletics. We went a long time without passing levy after that. We finally passed that levy, because based on our commitment to this community to maintain where we were at, that was our promise. We renewed that promise by asking for renewal of that levy. We said, please give us 10 more years of what you gave us, the 5.
Because we were gonna maintain.
I mean, I believe it was part of it.
Carolyn, when we passed the first levy, what was our revenue at? We were at 17 million.
Yes.
So we're at 21 million now. Okay? So we're at 21 million, we're at $4 million, none of that's athletics. Okay? We've maintained our programs, we've added some programs, we've added some things. So we've done what we thought we had to do to make this a good district. Again, those are decisions, that's what we're supposed to do.
But our levy fund coming in is exactly the same. Our millage is down because the reevaluation of property in this community. So we were able to bring it down, but we're still essentially the same dollar amount.
We were getting an increase
Because
over
of,
because of them raising it, because of the valuations going up.
the millage going
Because if
down.
it was, because it is a reevaluation, they're taking it back down to what was voted, which was 3.2. We were up to 3.4, which is why it's going down. Now, it'll grow again, I mean, it'll start, but, and I was just doing some calculating, and if we have 10% growth in students participating, it would, I mean, pay a quarter of it back. Just in taking it to 295, that's what I did it at. I mean, if we have a 10% increase in participation, so.
And that's fair, but how many sports programs do we have that are already maximized? We're gonna take 50 kids on a basketball team, just to take kids? We're gonna take, I can tell you, they have more than they need on softball, they have more than they need on baseball. Football is already running 86 kids on the team. We're gonna take 120, so we have 30 more kids who are standing there not to play, just to take their money. That's irresponsible too. So we're gonna add 10% on, how many kids we have in athletics now? Total.
491. That's what I was facing.
So we're gonna pick up 50 more kids on programs?
If
Where are
we
we gonna go?
include marching band and all the junior high, high school cheerleaders, not including club sports, I believe my numbers are telling me 694 students.
So where are we gonna put 660 kids? On what programs?
Burning down.
The band go, yeah, and track and field and cross country. This is not to be argumentative not to see the pay to participate fees go down. The argument is to find a way to do it by maintaining some fiscal responsibility, our commitment to the community, and not spend what we don't have. Find a way.
Thank you. Mr. Barco?
Dennis, I agree with everything you said except for the issue of the levy. Okay? The levy was passed, it was a 5-year, just like you said, and then it got renewed at 10 years. There's no way at all that when I voted to put that on for 10 years, that I thought that we would make it another full 10 years. Okay? That's the only thing I want to say. There was no thought in my mind that we could go another full 10 years. I'd love to be able to do it, but I always thought we were going to come back in with some kind of a small, incremental type, small step request, which is where we could fund some of the things that we'd like to fund, to move our district forward still. Okay?
I would support that.
And so I just wanted to be clear that when you said that it was gonna last 10 years, I had no thoughts of it lasting 10 years without coming in with some kind of a small thing. And at that time, ask for something that would bring in those extras that we wanna do of reducing pay to participate, bringing back high school busing or whatever.
Helping the band kids.
Yes.
All these things. I know how I'm doing that. I put that on.
Those are the kind of things that I think should be in. But I just want to make the point.
Okay.
that when I voted to put that on, back on the ballot for a 10-year period, I had no thoughts that it was gonna last full 10 years. Okay. And I said it at the time. I didn't think of it.
Well,
Is it too late to go on the ballot for November?
no, because we're going, you know, till
August.
August, we have to pass first.
So there's an option.
But that's not gonna help us fall sports.
We retroactive the, football team, well, we can, that was a nightmare for you.
Yeah.
The board reduced it.
It wouldn't be your problem anyhow.
Right, and we give back everybody the money to correct them to the adjusted pay to participate fees.
Well, if it's the, and maybe it's a graduated, to take it from $395 to, $325, but it's $325 across, $325 for each sport. It's not the graduated, and you still have the 1,600 family cap. Just a suggestion, or 300, and it's across the board, it's every sport. Again, are we gonna pick up additional, again, in the summer or in the winter sports? There's very little that you can increase. Basketball, you're gonna have so many people. Volleyball, you're gonna have so many people, you're not gonna have a line. Football, you can increase, wrestling, you can increase, track, you can increase, cross country, you can increase. I mean, that's a, and then look at it again to see what the effects are. You're not talking a mill to put it on, is I guess what I'm trying to say. You're not, a mill is $400,000.
How much would you need 1 mil to pay for our pay to participate fees, take care of our band kids, and help with our busing? Would 1 mil do it?
You probably need about 1.25.
Taking care of band kids.
Well, make sure their fees are taken care of too.
But that's part of pay to participate,
Okay,
that's part of it.
okay, I thought they had other expenses on top of that.
With the last was, to do all of high school busing was about $500,000. So, pay to participate, that's what I'm saying, a $1.25 million, 0.25 maybe, because that would be about 600,000. But you'd only collect half of it the first year, and then full the second year. So
Would that not be easier to swallow a 1.25 mil than getting to 5 years and saying we blew all the money and we have to pass an emergency levy? Whether it's 5 years, 6 or 7 years, this is gonna happen. It's gonna happen, we have to go back.
if you're gonna have, it doesn't, this levy that was passed, this renewal, like Ken said, it was never going to last the 10 years. We were very fortunate and very conservative in allowing it, that it lasted 5 years. And we put money into our savings, if you wanna call it, which is a levy cycle. That is a true levy cycle. You pass it, you collect it, you put it in savings, and then about 3 years out, about halfway through, you start spending it down. And then at the end, you have to ask for a renewal or new monies. The district was very lucky. Our valuations went up this time because it was a reevaluation. We were lucky in one aspect, unlucky in another, because our emergency levy went back down. I'm just, trying to think of some options that might work, so that the community, it would be a benefit to reduce. We might see an increase, and then you'd be able to address it and maybe do it in gradual, look at it this year or next year to reduce it by $75, and then look at it again. But doing it $75, but every sport was the same amount. Now,
But that was nothing for us exceeding the 0.5%, after 1%.
well, and again, you know what? The auditors have to look at that. The same rule comes into effect for libraries also.
If that was one of the things that they were looking at when they come in, they would look at very specific things.
Right.
Would that be something that they would cite us for?
They could, and tell us to get it back in line.
and that means we would have to take it away.
You
Okay,
know, not necessarily, you would have to do something to get it back in
how
line.
would you get back in line? Take it away.
You know, increase your attendance, I mean, increase your admissions, do
Here's your
other,
budget, if you have $1 in, more revenue.
right, so I'm not saying you have to increase, but I'm just giving some options out there.
I will support this, everybody, but find a way to do it that's fiscally responsible. This committee.
Kent, when you said, reduced by $50, was that $50 in each category?
Yes, for each, for their current fees,
Mm-hmm.
first sport would be reduced 50, second sport would be reduced 50, and third sport would be reduced 50 at both the high school and
And
junior high.
approximately that would cost us $48,000.
That would be for $100,
No, about 24,000.
24,000.
24,000. Oh, I wrote down that, okay, 24,000. I don't think, even over time, $24,000 is gonna make or break this school district. I also think that, I don't know why we're hanging our hat on one thing called pay to participate. I mean, there are other things we spend money on. And I think we just need to look at each thing that we spend money on and make sure that it's a good expenditure. I agree with John when he said that. I fully believe that we can reduce $50 in each category and the world will go on at Buckeye schools and out there. And so I would like to put a resolution together that says that we will reduce pay to play by $50.
To participate.
Thank you. It's not play, it's participate. And see where that takes us.
And again, just clarifying, $50 per sport cost as it is currently.
Yes.
Is this a resolution to do this or just to look at it?
To do it.
So we're going resolve that the Buckeye Board of Education reduce pay to participate to $395, $345, $245, $145 for high school, and $245, $145, $45 for the junior high.
For the third sport.
Yeah. They don't really.
Yeah.
It doesn't really apply.
Correct?
Mhm.
The third
For-
sport would be, I'm sorry, the third sport would be like track or something like that, so
Yeah.
Well, they
For
need to be a
$45
basketball team. or volleyball.
For the 17-18 school year.
Can you just review your numbers one more time? I wasn't keeping up with you. 345, 245, 145 for high
Correct.
school, and 245, 145, and 45 for the junior high.
Correct. Or do we want, or,
Okay.
just because we're doing $50 for high school, only do 25 at the junior high? Just a thought.
Because the junior high's first sport is,
245 to make it 270, 170, 70. I'm just saying, because there was a $100 difference before, it was $395. That's the only reason why.
that's
I'm saying-
fine.
Yes?
Yes. For me, I'm making the resolution. We'll vote on it.
So 270, 170, and 70 for the third.
Are you good, Ken?
Yeah, I'm just gonna calculate the savings of 25,
Oh, okay.
just so we knew. I messed me up.
I'm sorry. Neil Call, mathematics?
Mathematics.
What do you do?
Get up there and help them.
you should have that number right now.
You already know it, don't you, Neil?
No, no. I didn't hear the other.
I know, you can't hear it.
video. No, I heard it.
It's 260.
Yeah, but what does it multiply, the numbers? Yeah, but then you got to.
I got it right now. That's the tornado down the mountain.
All right,
I
Karen,
didn't see that.
Would you like me to read this resolution
I
and
would
put
like
it on
you
the
to read
table?
it, yes.
Resolved that the Buckeye Board of Education reduce the pay to participate fee for the 17-18 school year to be $345, $245, $145 for the high school, and $270, $170, and $70 for the junior high.
Do we want to add in, it's mine, no, it's my resolution,
We
but,
need to get a motion,
I know, but I'm thinking about family cap.
We could lower the family cap.
We don't have good numbers on that though, do we? I mean, we know that only one family went over 1,600, we have no idea how many families went over anything else.
No.
We had one family at 1,600?
Yes. I can tell you that if my math is correct, that cost for the proposed that you have would be not the 24, but it'd be $16,200.
So that's what I was saying, if we got 10% increase, we would have funded it.
Well, let's put, I would like to put the family cap at 1,500, so 1,600. Okay,
Read it again.
one more time, yes.
Resolved, the Buckeye Board of Education reduce pay to participate fee to $345, $245, $145 for high school, $270, $170, and $70 for junior high for the 17-18 school year, and add family cap of $1,500.
All right, is there a motion?
Motion?
Second?
Second.
Any further comments?
Yes. I can't believe we're gonna vote on something when we've not even had the treasurer run the numbers through her 5-year forecast, give us some accurate numbers. The superintendent's figuring out numbers on his calculator, and we're gonna vote on something that is big as this. And it's huge. Not the dollar amount, it's huge for changing the plan here. And I think it's gonna come back to haunt us in 5 years. That's my comment.
My comment is, it's how much?
$16,000.
$16,000. It's not going to break the school district, and there are plenty other places where we can look for $16,000. And I think our pay to participate fees are the highest in the county, which I cannot support,
Even with this change.
even with this change. And we just reduced elementary fees because they were the highest in the county. I mean, we have to at some time give something to our families. And they supported us with a levy renewal. I think we can support them with $16,000. So that's where I stand.
And we did look at the numbers because Kent gave us the numbers and we know what the numbers are. It's 16.
And our finance committee did look at it too.
All right, roll call.
Sisellage,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Barco,
No.
Mattson,
No.
Gunkelman.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Morgan, now we're doing Buckeye event passes.
Item B, Buckeye event passes for retired staff members. Carolyn, would you mind sharing information on that, please?
In talking to state auditor, and in talking to Neola, and in talking to the IRS, there's a challenge in all of it because of the value. You're giving something of value. There is not an ethics violation because they aren't our employees any longer. Now, you know, an IRS audit, never had one in 25 years, Wadsworth did. Wadsworth came back and they told them everything that they should have sent 1099s out for. That's my report.
Do any other districts do that as far as either of you know?
I'm not aware of
No.
it.
No.
So then, I understand the purpose of the pass, and there are people, we will have people that will use it and will not use it. Probably a lot won't use it, and it's a great token, it's a gesture. We used to give something to them. If we could come up with a token, something that represents Buckeye as a gift, get a fixed price on it, and ask the board members to kick in our salary for the month of June to pay for it every year. And we'll do it as a donation. We can do it as a donation, it won't be $10.99. I'll give my stipend that I get in June, challenge everybody else to do it, and give it back to the teachers. Whether it's a loving cup or a vase or something, but it's a one-time thing that they can take home and appreciate it.
I would propose that we do basically the same type of thing. We've been requested by a former teacher that wanted this done. I say we pay for it. I say it comes out of the board fund. It would only be for people, the teachers retired, it's not just teachers. Anyone that retires from Buckeye, if they ask for it, it would be something that we could give them, and I say that we pay for that.
Can we do that though? I'm not sure we can do that.
We give out passes, we sell passes at the athletic department every year. So if the board wants to pay for athletic passes through the athletic department for a retired, they can do that anytime. So, I mean, there would not have to be a board resolution. You could go in and just say, I want a pass and I want to give it to Carolyn McCluskey because she's retired. Just in case you didn't know it.
But there would be no,
I'd expect to see you there.
I would be at every game.
but there would be no consistency with that. Somebody would have to go over there and ask for it.
Correct.
So would it be, you know, we could give them a gift from the district?
We used to give them a tray.
What did the trade cost?
Wendell, August 4.
Well, I would be, want to bring up is that you try to set something like that up, you're trying to commit people who are not sitting at this table.
That's true.
Oh, can the superintendent bring it up every year at the organizational meeting, and we can say, you know what, this June I have projected 7 teachers going to retire, it's going to cost this much money. And if people say no, then it is what it is.
I think that I think you have a really good point, that it would be nice to give them a token, something. I think the person who sent this letter to us was specifically asking about sporting events. That was what was important to them, that they wanted to be able to come to sporting events without a charge. And, I think this discussion could go a lot of ways because we don't honor Buckeye cards to let people get in free where the other districts I keep saying the other districts, but the other districts in our conference honor Buckeye cards. And, if you have a Buckeye card, you get in free. And so a retired teacher would most probably have a Buckeye card. I sat in a meeting this week with Kent and Carolyn, and they believed that we were letting people in for free with Buckeye cards. And I said, well, that's unusual because I've always paid. But we found out that our athletic department does not let people in with Buckeye cards. So,
Because of a board
Board action.
action.
board action
In 2009.
in 2009. So I don't know. I don't know what to do with this.
A couple of years ago, you were the first beneficiary of when Mr. Williams had a retirement dinner or event. And it was very nice. I was the only board member there. It was not well attended by lots of people, but it was a nice gesture. I believe that we should go back and do that. It was a good idea. We got some space at Gilbert's and they had cheese and crackers for the retirees, and it was a nice little social event for a couple hours in the afternoon. I don't think it's the idea of a pass that's gonna make a teacher feel good. I've been here for 35 years, I can get into a football game for free. It's the recognition that makes it more important. That, you know, we valued your 30, 35 years here. You did it every day. And recognize them. That, I think, will go a lot farther to the teachers than giving them a little card that they get into a football game or basketball game. I suggest we give them free at, don't charge for baseball and softball, that's free.
Yeah.
But the only, I do something as like that little event and ask the board members to be there and show up. I mean, you were the first person to do it. I thought it was a nice event that you were at. And you sat at a table with a bunch of retirees, and it was a nice social hour. And I think we could do something like that and make that part of some tradition here, instead of just kicking in the pants and walk out the door.
I don't disagree. I mean, I think that's great, but the item that we're talking about is event passes.
Right, but that's event pass, that's a gift for a retired staff member. And so if we can't do it with the auditors would have problems with it, let's think of something out of the box and do something nice as a judge. While we're on that subject, think about doing something nice.
I think it's fantastic that a retired teacher is interested in our community, that's invested in our community and wants to come to the events. And I don't think we should be charging $6 for somebody that's been here for 30 years to walk through the gates to see their kids play. I don't know if we could go the route of the Buckeye. I didn't know anything about that Buckeye card. If we could go that route, if that's a resolution we could make, then that would probably clear up all they would have to do is have that card. And that would alleviate all the IRS issues and everything also.
I don't know what your pleasure is. I guess this is an informational item, a discussion item. I don't know that we need to take any action tonight on this, unless anybody has something they want to put forward with us on. All right, we'll talk about it another time then, thanks. C.
Item C, just again, an informational item. We have a layout and striping of all Buckeye local schools athletic fields for the 2017-18 season by E&J Mechanical for a total amount of $9,000. This is for the striping of our athletic fields. They've been doing this for a couple of years at least. And it is something that as we are needed, or as needed, they will come out and repaint. It includes the cost of the paint. It's really no additional cost above and beyond that for us to have our fall fields lined, as well as our baseball and softball and the track for shot and dip.
Is this something in the future we can do ourselves?
I think it's something we certainly can be looking at.
And the soccer association, the youth group, they have their own stripes and they do all their fields themselves. So I was just wondering if that's something we can, I didn't know if there were rules like for football, if they have to have somebody professionally done or anything. Okay.
That's all I have.
Thank you. So then we're going to move to board comments. Number 13. Mr. Mattson, how about we start with you?
Welcome to all the new teachers that left.
What about the ones that stay?
I said new teachers.
Mr. Barco?
Betty's leaving, so.
Then it's getting hot in here.
That's right, it's pretty warm. Mr. Stahl?
Excited about the new teachers. Thank you for all that stayed through all that. I appreciate it. Oh, the scouts left.
Very quietly.
Yeah, good job.
Mrs. Siseli?
Just want to thank you all for staying for that lengthy meeting. Wanted to congratulate you for another successful school year. Congratulations on the new contract. I'm very happy that everything went very seamlessly. Barb and I were lucky enough to go to prom. She was my date. Just wanted to say thank Mrs. Inman in the high school for really a fantastic job. Also wanted to thank Mrs. Schneider for after prom, which went off just as nicely. 180 kids showed up. Wanted to congratulate our seniors for everything that they do to go out and change the world, because you guys set them up to do that. And thank you all for coming. Yes.
One more thing, with prom too, if you brought that up. This is, every year, you get excited about graduation, and every year I worry about prom. So, we had an unfortunate accident in a neighboring district, and, it just, breaks my heart. And, I'm glad our kids make good decisions this year. Very proud of them. Very proud of the high school leadership team and everything you guys instilled in their parents as well. But it's such a sad thing. My thoughts and prayers are with many of you. I know they're about to do. That's just horrible.
I'd just like to say thank you to Mr. Tudor and the high school for the wonderful graduation ceremony. It's almost record time. It was like an hour and 5 minutes or something, but
Gabe didn't talk.
Not that I was thinking.
You didn't talk.
it just really was a nice ceremony.
If he talks.
And I'd like to extend my condolences to the family of Tim Keith. His wife Jody teaches at Buckeye Junior High, and Tim taught here years ago at Buckeye. We're going to miss him. So, we have scheduled an executive session for the purpose of employment. Is there any other reason we need to add for executive session?
Compensation?
Compensation? Thank you. Motion, please.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Kinsella?
Yes.
Manson?
Yes.
Barko?
Yes.
Stoll?
Yes.
Dunkelman?
Yes.
And it is